Hello and welcome to the Psychology of Selling for More, how to make your home a buyer's dream. My name is Scott Lareau, and you may be wondering, what credentials do I have to be teaching you this? Well, I'm a lifetime lover of homes and interior design. I spent my early years tailing my real estate agent family members and watching home renovation TV. And I was lucky enough, after a decade of merchandising high-end retail stores in New York and LA, falling into my absolute dream job as the protege of an interior designer, renovator, and home stager in Boise, Idaho. Over the years, I learned the secret sauce of selling a home for profit and was able to get a behind the scenes peek of hundreds of listings and their results. In addition to personally staging over 100 homes a year, I became the designer and project manager of over 50 plus pre-sale renovations and flips. Why I created this course. I created it because too many homeowners are leaving money on the table when selling their homes. After almost a decade of working with real estate agents and sellers, I've seen the same mistakes repeated. People waiting too long to prepare, skipping simple updates, or assuming buyers are going to see past flaws in their home. These oversights lead to lower offers, price reductions, and longer time on the market. This course was designed to change that. Selling a home isn't just about listing it. It's about marketing a product that buyers can't resist. I created this course to help homeowners reframe the selling process as an opportunity to maximize their profit. When you prepare smarter, you sell faster and for more. I want pre-sale updates to be something that everybody knows that they should be doing. I want, when remodeling your home, if it's not your forever home, for pre-sale to design to be part of the conversation. We've seen volatility in the market over the last few years. Being ready to sell when the time is right is essential. Here's an example of the average seller timeline. If you're looking to sell in spring, often a realtor will get a call in March and they'll say, hey, we're thinking about selling in the spring. And the agent will say, great, let me come over. Let's take a look at the house. I haven't been there in a few years or since you bought it. And they get there and they say, wow, a great home, great location, but it's a little dated. And I know that there's a huge demand in this area for homes that are move-in ready. Then we're now in the end of March, early April, and you're starting to contemplate, is it worth it to be updating? Can we handle it? The kids are finishing school. We want to be listed. And so, but then you're like, we're going to make so much more money if we do it. And so then you start getting quotes. And as anybody who knows who works with contractors in the past, there's often delays. And so all of a sudden, spring has sprung, it's moving into June, and now it feels like we are rushing to get everything done. Staging, cleaning, photos, and in June or July, we're getting the house listed. Now, for most agents would tell you, that's a little bit late. Oftentimes, peak market times are going to be in the spring for most markets, and you really want to be ready to move as soon as the first leaves start popping up. And so in this scenario, in August, we're closing, and that's perfect. That's like if it sells reasonably fast in an average amount of time. Now, if for some reason it drags on and we're moving into October and the leaves start turning, now you're going to really start freaking out. And that's why my suggestion is that you start thinking about this a year in advance instead of waiting until shortly before you are ready to list. Taking a proactive approach to your profits, planning ahead, avoids adding additional stress to one of the most stressful events in your life. Pre-sale updates early means you get to enjoy the updates before listing. Here's how I wish more sellers approach the process. If there is more than a 50% chance that you will be selling your home in the next 24 months, it's time to call or find your agent, because you really need to know where you're at, what a professional thinks your home is worth now, and assess the opportunity to maximize your home sale. There is so much you'll need to do before selling and figuring out how you can make the process work best for you. By planning ahead, you can get updates done while you're on vacation, or you can get all of your quotes locked in. So when the time is right, you can move out and get it taken care of before listing. So by a pre-sale focused timeline, will you be selling in the next 1 to 3 years? let's engage a realtor for a CMA ASAP. Let's get them over. Let's get some ideas about how much we think our home is worth now. Then we get a property assessment, pre-sale update, and planning, where we are going to make suggestions about updates that would have high ROI and more likely to sell your home faster and for more money. We work through those updates gradually over the course of a year, possibly. And when the time is right, then you put your home on the market. Handling your pre-sale updates early, it gives you the flexibility to list when it is most advantageous for you or convenient for you. Now, in some seasons, leaves start blooming at the end of February. Other times, we have a late winter and it snows in April. And you want to be able, if the market starts kicking in March, you want to be able to get your listing on before everybody else, because then you're going to have massive inventory coming on in the spring, depending on the year, and you might have the potential to lose a bit of your equity just by the sheer volume of inventory on the market. So being able to be first sometimes is great, but also if you want to delay, you always have that option. By having your pre-sale updates done, you have the opportunity to list when it's right for you. I've worked with more agents than most people over the years. Here's my 2 cents. 1, they are essential to maximize profit. A great real estate agent is your biggest asset when it comes to maximizing the profit from your home sale. They bring invaluable local knowledge and expertise to the table. Think about it. A top-performing agent works with other industry professionals, agents, brokers, lenders, appraisers, inspectors on a regular basis. They have their finger on the pulse of the market. They know exactly why homes in your area are selling for certain prices and why some don't meet their potential. I'm a great example of an allied resource that good agents are using to gauge what is happening in the market, because I'm in homes almost every single day with different agents, and because how long our staging inventory was sitting in homes would give clues to if the winds were shifting slightly, with buyer demand being that in touch with what is happening in your local market, and could make the difference between home selling immediately or sitting for months with little activity. 2, there's a huge disparity between bad and good. Here's a hard truth. Not all agents are created equal. The real estate industry operates on a 20-80 principle. 20% of agents handle 80% of the business. This means there's a small group of true professionals, and then there are hobbyists who sell 1 or 2 homes a year for a little extra spending money. When selling your home, you cannot afford to take chances. Hiring a part-time agent or giving a family member or friend a shot may feel kind, but it can also cost you tens of thousands of dollars, depending on your market. I'm sure they will discount their listing commission for you. I'm telling you, it's not worth it. It is not worth a discounted commission for a subpar agent, because what an agent can do for you is worth tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. This decision could directly impact your bottom line. To get the best results, you need a seasoned pro who consistently delivers in your market. That's it. To get the best results, you need a seasoned pro who consistently delivers in your market. What you want your agent spending their time and energy on. To maximize your sale, you want your agent laser focused on doing what they do best: talking to potential buyers, networking with other agents, actively marketing your property, and calling prospects and generating buzz about your home. Here's the thing. Managing the preparation of your home for sale, such as cleaning, repairs, and staging, is often outside the scope of their expertise. Most agents will do it, but it's not really what you're paying them for. While they can guide you in the right direction, these are time-consuming tasks that can pull them away from their primary role, which is getting your home seen and sold for top dollar. You want an agent who's out in the field, leveraging their network and expertise, not buried in the details of decluttering closets or manage handyman schedules. Trust me, when your agent has bandwidth to focus on the big picture, you'll see a difference in your results. By focusing on hiring a skilled, high-performing real estate agent and partnering with professionals who can help with the nitty-gritty aspects of preparation, like me, you're setting yourself up for success. So let's get into the meat of this presentation. Buyer psychology. Buyer psychology is the study of how people make decisions when purchasing a home. But here's the catch. Buyers don't just buy with logic. They buy with emotion. They're not just looking for walls and a roof. They're looking for a space that fits their dreams and their lifestyle. Imagine walking into a home with family photos covering the walls and bright red paint in the kitchen. It may reflect the seller's personality, but buyers will struggle to picture themselves there. In contrast, a neutral, thoughtfully staged home invites buyers to dream about their future. This is the emotional connection that sells. Let's talk about buyer personas. Identifying your target buyer helps you tailor your home's presentation. There are three main types of buyers. The first-time home buyer, they're excited but cautious. They want a move-in ready home with minimal effort. 2, move-up buyers, often families needing more space or modern upgrades. They prioritize functionality and features. 3, downsizers. These buyers seek simplicity, single-story homes, low-maintenance yards, and manageable spaces. This is a great conversation to engage with your agent on. Here's a graph from the National Association of Realtors outlining who buyers and sellers are by generation. So looking at this graph, you can see that the vast majority of buyers are between 34 and 70. Yes, that's a very large span of years. I suggest honing in on the largest groups, which are Gen X and Millennials. Gen X are buyers aged 44 to 58, and they make up 24% of recent home buyers. This group remains one of the highest earning home buyers with a median income of $126,900 in 2023. 58% of home buyers in this group are married couples, providing them with dual income. Younger millennials are 25 to 33, older millennials are 34 to 43, and they make up the largest share of home buyers at 38%. Older millennials are at 21%, younger at 17%. 75% of younger millennials and 44% of older millennials were first-time home buyers. Here are some traits based on each of these generations and buyer types. First-time home buyer, they're generally younger, usually have less cash for upgrades, all the more reason to invest a little up front, and single, newly married, and they are highly affected by the inspection or the appraisal. Move-up buyers are families needing more space, modern upgrades, yard, prioritize functionality and features, and as we know from the previous slide, they tend to have a little bit more money. Downsizers, retirees, seek simplicity, single-story homes, low-maintenance yards, solid and elevated materials. What makes buyers fall in love? Visual appeal, emotional connection, and in-person experience. Have you ever heard the quote, "You eat with your eyes first"? The same is true with a home. Visual appeal. Most buyers see your home online before visiting. High quality photos of clean, clutter-free spaces are essential. Here is an example of a home pre-sale updates. So now imagine coming across this home while shopping. And now imagine coming across this home. It is in fact the same home. And now consider how much more you think this home is worth based simply on the curb appeal updates that were made, which I can tell you, because this is my old house, that it only included black mulch, painting the trim, putting up address numbers, painting the front door, removing the screen, and adding this cedar onto where there was siding, which I had in my garage already. Wasn't even purchased. I think this is the perfect example because in total, I did most of this work myself. I spent less than $1,000, and I know this curb appeal added $10,000 to my sale price. That's the power of pre-sale updates. It really doesn't take much. In this bathroom, we just updated the chandelier because having something a little more modern in bronze makes all the other bronze hardware look more modern. I would have taken the shelf off of the wall as well, but the homeowners didn't have that paint color. So to avoid having to repaint the entire wall, we cleared it off and styled it with minimal accessories so that ideally buyers gloss right over it. Generally, my opinion is that exposed shelving like that, unless it's particularly on trend, simply communicates that there's not enough storage in this bathroom. So I tend to take those down whenever possible. For the after, Wablam. Oh no, you can't see because I covered up the chandelier. Well, take my word for it, it looks a lot better. Buyers want to picture their life in this home. Cozy seating, soft lighting, and thoughtful decor create a this feels like home moment, as opposed to this feels like somebody else's home. Removing more personal items such as family photos, utilitarian items, extra computer monitors, printers, we're able to create space for buyers to imagine exactly the type of work they would achieve in this office instead of it just looking like somebody else's workspace. Now, I want to point out that overall, this office is gorgeous. I love the paint color. I love the light fixture. I love the desk. I love the chairs. There's so many things about it that I love. And many people would probably just list it as it is because it's a great workspace. But I want to show you the after, and you can decide for yourself how much better it looks and how many more people could see themselves living in this space. Ta-da! So keep in mind, simply removing the personal family photos, diploma, printers created the space for other people to imagine how they're going to use this space, not how you use the space. And a mirror is always a great way to continue reflecting light, especially when you have a view. This home had a very odd room at the front, right inside the front door, that the homeowners used as their poker and puzzle room. That's a very niche use of this room. Now, it probably was meant to be a formal dining room because there was no door on it, but unfortunately it was a little ways away from the kitchen where it would honestly just confuse people if they walked in and been like, why is the formal dining room here? So when you connect with buyers on an emotional level, they're more likely to envision your house as their dream home, and that means faster sale at a higher price. In-person experience. Flow matters. Highlight your home's best attributes. Beams, a fireplace, a space. Create a wow moment in every room. Why this works. By emptying out the space, we're able to let aspects of the home shine. The paneling, the unique window alcove, and the peaked ceilings are all appealing to potential buyers. Before, most buyers would not be able to see past the current homeowner's personal items. And even if they could, the impression of the home is still significantly less appealing due to the way that it is being presented. In-person experience. Take, for example, this backyard. Obviously, there's some things that need to be packed up. This tree was long past dead. This path wasn't doing anything. This grass had seen better days. By remedying those, you change the space into a highly appealing and emotionally connecting space where buyers will see themselves and say, I can see myself enjoying this gazebo every single night. It looks like a project. It looks like work. It looks like money to be spent. That's not the goal. We want relaxation as the goal. Small details can have a big impact. Design changes perception, and perception is what creates value. You can literally make money out of thin air. Even the smallest issues can derail a sale. Let's look at the most common deal breakers. Personalization overload, deferred maintenance, and odor. Personalization overload. Too many personal touches, family photos, overly unique decor, visible storage, animal accessories can distract from the fantasy. Look at how the space can truly shine once the personal touches are removed and mass appeal is used. Personalization overload can make buyers feel like they're intruding on somebody else's space. The last feeling we want to give buyers is one of uncomfortability. Most people cannot see through sellers' things. Oh, I just had to put a picture of myself with the lion. Deferred maintenance is an immediate lack of visual appeal and a communication that the home has not been taken care of. It hurts the emotional connection of buyers by showing signs that this is somebody else's home, which creates cognitive dissonance around this being your future home. Odor. Can you smell this photo? This is truly the smelliest house I've ever been in. Walking into a home that has any sort of unfamiliar or unpleasant or unidentifiable odor is a huge deal breaker. Many sellers will not know if their home has an odor since you're accustomed to it. You need an outside opinion and you need to take it seriously and resolve the source of the odor. Covering odors with candles, plugins, or diffusers can indicate to buyers that you're trying to cover or hide an odor, or it can be off-putting if a buyer doesn't like the scent. And some people are allergic and can immediately smell artificial scents, and leaving a negative impression as soon as they walk in the door. Ta-da! We resolved the scent. So, the answer to order is to resolve the source. Shampoo carpets, deep clean, take out trash, clean out the fridge, avoid cooking fragrant food during active listing. We're talking bacon, garlic, curry, Brussels sprouts. No sense. If there has been any animal odor from cats or dogs urinating in a certain room, you need to change out the carpet and possibly use an oil-based primer to seal out the odor. I had a home a couple years ago that a gentleman was befriending all of the neighborhood strays. They urinated all over the carpet and the walls. We tore out all of the flooring, used an oil-based primer on the subfloor, and up 18 inches from the floor up the wall. Replaced all the baseboards, changed out all the floor vents, which had some urine in them, and went through 2 rounds of deep cleaning, including using heavy disinfectants on all. While we were in there, we painted the whole house. In the end, the cost was only $15,000. The house sold no problem. If he had listed the house as is, there would likely be only lowball investor offers like $50,000 to $70,000 under the asking price. So if you look at that $15,000 investment, they made between $40,000 and $60,000 on that $10,000 in less than a month. You can't get returns like that anywhere. And if you can, call me because I want to know where. Oh, this is the after of that shower. When a buyer sees a neutral, updated space, they're not distracted by personal tastes or outdated elements. Instead, they imagine their own life unfolding in the space, hosting dinner parties in a stylish dining room, or relaxing in a cozy, modern living room. Neutralizing and depersonalizing avoids buyers' minds having additional hurdles to being happy in the home. We want to remove every hurdle to a homeowner seeing themselves being happy in that home. If it feels more expensive, it is. Updates like fresh paint, new flooring, modern light fixtures give buyers the impression that the home is high value. Even small changes like swapping out an old bathroom vanity for a sleek, budget-friendly replacement can update the entire space. The halo effect. A positive first impression changes everything. The halo effect is when a great first impression influences how someone views everything else. If a buyer's first impression is that your home feels new and well-maintained, they're more likely to assume that the rest of the house is in good condition, even areas that they haven't seen yet. So the opposite is also true. If a buyer's first impression is that your home feels dated and not well maintained, they are going to assume the rest of the house is not in good condition, including things like roof, furnace, hot water heater, foundation, which may or may not be true. And so creating this perception is key to a faster sale for a higher price. Similar to the halo effect is confirmation bias. We utilize the human predisposition to update strategically to create clean and polished first impressions. By creating an initial positive impression, we're increasing the likelihood that the goodwill will carry over to any other imperfections in the home. The curb appeal and the first 15 feet in the front door and the first 15 seconds are so important. In one sale, the homeowner updated their kitchen with sleek white cabinets and modern hardware. Buyers immediately commented, "I can see us cooking here." That connection would not have happened with the previous outdated design. Your emotions and beliefs can significantly influence your perception of reality and your actions. Surprise! Seller psychology. Your turn. Selling a home is a major life event, and it's not just about the logistics, it's also about the emotions. For many of us, our homes are deeply tied to our identities. It's where we've celebrated milestones, created memories, and invested our time and energy. When you sell, you're not just letting go of the building, you're letting go of and closing a chapter. That can bring up a mix of emotions, fear of the unknown, sadness about leaving, or even increased insecurity about how others might be judging your home in this process of selling. It's completely normal to feel this way. The key is to acknowledge these emotions and work through them to focus on your goals. Let's start by understanding why selling your home can feel so overwhelming and how to manage those feelings. It's important to understand the common emotions associated with selling as they affect our decisions. Let's talk about the most common resistance I hear from sellers and why that thinking is most often not in line with their goals. The emotional hurdles that I hear from sellers the most often, or see from sellers the most often, are a general emotional attachment to identities or memories, a fear of change due to financial or lifestyle concerns, and a general sense of overwhelm with the preparation process, pre-packing, living in a staged environment, finding a new home. And if you're selling first and then purchasing another home, there's a lot of unknown with the timing and where you're going to live. And that is completely overwhelming and scary. To start this process, get a pen and paper and let's do a little exercise. Take your blank piece of paper and see what's really on your mind. Write down everything that comes to mind when you think about selling your home. Please pause this lesson and take as much time as you need to do this. So let's talk about your goals now. For 95% of sellers, their goals are going to fall into one of these categories. So let's talk about some common goals you may have for your home sale. For 95% of sellers, their goals are going to fall into one of these categories. Most sellers are just going to want to make as much money as possible from the sale of their home. Same, honestly. Getting a desirable offer faster than the average days on market, so speed, or ease of sale. Getting a buyer who is okay with a rent back, or other negotiations that are important to you, so terms. Everyone's goals are going to be different and will inform what pre-sale preparations we should be making. So the first, take your blank piece of paper, close yourself off from other distractions, and write your top 3 goals for selling your home. Now, let's look at the feelings that we wrote from the first activity, and then take the goals that we wrote from our second activity and decide if they are in line. If they are, congratulations, you're on the right track to maximize your investment. If your thoughts about selling your home are not in line with your goals, can you change your thoughts to something more empowering? This will change your experience and make it far more enjoyable. Because frankly, pre-sale updates, they are work. I mean, they are an investment, which means short-term sacrifice for long-term gain. It's not fun. It could be, but it's really not. It's inconvenient. But it's about making money. And so if that is important to you, maybe it's worth it. So here's an example. Thought, I'm sad to be leaving the home where I raised my children. Goal, to make $250,000 from the sale of my home. Profit. Empowering thought. I will always remember the memories we made at Smith Avenue. I will dedicate myself to making sure it's properly prepared for buyers to imagine the memories they will make here, and thereby maximizing my equity, which will enable me to make new, fabulous memories. Print that out, put it on your mirror. Read it every day as you go through this process. Embrace the change. It's time to shift your perspective from this being my home to being a buyer's future home. So now that you've acknowledged the emotional side of selling, let's talk about shifting your mindset. The goal is to transition from seeing your home as yours to presenting it as the buyer's dream home. This shift should help you focus on preparing your home with intention. Think of this process as creating a blank canvas for potential buyers. You're not erasing your story. You're creating space for somebody else's story. This shift doesn't mean letting go of your memories or your love for the home. It means packaging it up in a way that highlights its potential for other people. Example, imagine if you walked into a house and you saw somebody else's family photos everywhere. Would it be easy for yourself to picture yourself there? Probably not. That's why depersonalizing is such a key step. What I always said for home sellers when I lived in Boise, for example, Boise's a small city, but there's still an element, if you've lived there for any amount of time, like you run into people all the time. And so when it comes to house shopping, it's like my first inclination when I walk into a home and I'm being shown a home is like kind of to look at the photos and be like, oh, do I know this person? That's not what we want our buyers doing. We want them looking at the home and falling in love with the home. It's a distraction. Many sellers believe their home is fine as it is. But here's the truth. Buyers don't see your home the way you do. Let's look at this example. On the left, we have a home that has personal photos, bold paint colors, outdated light fixtures, and on the right, we have a staged version of the same home. The staged home attracted twice as many offers and sold 10 times faster than the unstaged home. Sellers who resist updates often face lower offers, longer time on the market, and even price reductions. So don't let the emotional value cloud your market reality. A buyer isn't purchasing your memories, they're purchasing their future. Imagine two homes side by side. One is a fixer-upper listed at $300,000. The other is move-in ready at $320,000. Buyers will often choose the move-in ready home because they assume repairs on the fixer-upper will cost much more than $20,000. In one case, simply replacing old carpet and adding a fresh paint transformed the home's perception. The $4,000 investment led to a $25,000 higher sale price. That's the power of pre-sale preparation. Younger buyers are influenced by Pinterest and HGTV, and they prioritize move-in ready homes. They overestimate the cost of repairs, and they prefer homes that feel done. Even small updates like modern light fixtures or fresh landscaping can dramatically increase your home's value. Common misconceptions. Updating before selling is counterintuitive. Why would I spend money on a house that I'm about to sell? It's a waste of time and money. If there's something wrong with my home, I'd rather not know because then I'll have to disclose it. I'm not in a rush. The right buyer will come. We'll start at the price I want, and if it doesn't sell, we'll drop the price. Some common misconceptions that I hear often. Updating before selling is counterintuitive. Why would I spend money on a house I'm about to sell? It's a waste of time and a waste of money. I disagree. And I know that because I've seen it work so many times. But the truth is, it's all about your cost benefit trade off. And you will have to spend money. It will require time and effort. And if you're doing it shortly before listing, it will mean time off of the market. But if you plan ahead and strategically, not only can you get great deals on the items that are going to deliver a high ROI, you have the time also to be looking for great deals on materials that you might need or the best deals on contractor labor, handling things in off season when other people are not making these renovations or when you're on vacation. So there's so many reasons why investing up front. Some may see pre-sale updates as counterintuitive, but the only reason we do it is because we get a return on investment. It does work. It does deliver returns higher than the market standard average. Maybe just cut all this. We cut it all. Cut it. Cut it. I hear you. I can be a problem avoider as well, but yes, you'd be required to disclose it, but I'm not suggesting that you find out negative news and not do anything about it and then just disclose it. I'm suggesting you find out ahead of time if there's something going on with through a pre-inspection and then you deal with it so that when it's listed, you can say very confidently, I'm not suggesting that you find out negative news and do nothing about it and then have to disclose it. What I'm suggesting is that you get a pre-inspection, you find out if there's any issues, and you repair them. So then when you have serious buyers, you can actually show them your inspection report up front, any receipts of what you had repaired, and you have the upper hand in negotiations. Just from my experience, I mean, buyers always come back during the inspection contingency and request either repairs or money. And it's always more than it actually costs to do for the most part. And so by being able to provide all of that information up front, you can stand firm and you can say, no, you bought this house at this price or you put in an offer at this price and that's what we're going to do. And oftentimes they will accept it. That little negotiation tactic is worth $5,000-$10,000 easy. And so that is why I'm suggesting that you know what's wrong with your home prior or if there's anything wrong. And if you get a clean bill of health, you get to tout that all day long to every buyer, and that is worth its weight in gold. I'm not in a rush. The right buyer will come. I just don't like that. Like, that just doesn't even make sense to me. Except for, okay, if your priority is making the most money possible and you think that there's somebody out there who will pay that, more power to you. But you're risking a lot in the sense that the market could change, your particular market, our national economy, global economy could change. So many things could happen that generally a general rule of thumb is appeal to the most buyers possible and you'll get the highest price. Waiting for your one buyer who values your paint colors or your weird layout, or it's not a good strategy. We'll start at the price I want, and if it doesn't sell, we'll drop the price. Price drops are psychologically detrimental to the sale of your home. Again, selling a home is all about perception, and a home that lists at $700,000 and then sits for 30 days and then drops to 680. Now it's got a little red arrow. It says down 20,000. A buyer sees that and they already think, bargain, even if it was overpriced to start with. Or price drop, they look at it, they're not impressed, and they're kind of like, They're crazy. They have no sense of the market. These are things that hurt your credibility as a seller and is going to impact the offers that you get, the quality of the offers that you get. More than one price drop, buyers are going to assume there's something seriously wrong with the home. It's highly clearly, if it's been sitting, if the average days on market is 30 days and your house has been sitting for 60, it's clearly less desirable than most homes on the market. It's that simple. And or it's overpriced. And that's why it's undesirable. It's overpriced. So, again, get the home ready, price it right, sell it quick. There's no other way. Now, what should you do next? Let's get real about your timeline. It's okay if it gets deferred down the road. What we don't want to happen is for you to be on the fence about selling, and then in May, you decide you don't want to wait a whole nother year and spend all summer completely stressed out managing contractors getting the house on the market before the leaves start turning in fall. So, I've seen it so many times. If you're thinking about selling in the next 2 years, it's time to start the process and get real about your investment. Set a goal date and a backup date of when you want to list your home. So in one scenario, we're listing at this time. If it's not then, it's definitely going to be the next year in April. I know it feels like a lot of pressure to invite an agent over, get a CMA. That is the next step. You need to engage with your agent. I truly believe an agent is worth their weight in gold. A good agent has knowledge and negotiation experience that can make you anywhere from tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars. They usually pay for themselves. If you have an established relationship with an agent, awesome. Call them, please. And if you don't, I highly suggest that you meet with at least 3. I always have a gut feeling about who is best for the job after the meeting is over. The best agent is rarely the agent that gives you the highest price, the highest listing price for your home. Or if they do, they may have to explain to you how they're going to get to that number. Most agents that provide you the highest price out of the 3 that you met with is the more inexperienced agent or the agent who just wants to get the listing. You can tell when an agent's telling you because they have done the market research to know that what your home is going to sell for. Make sure that the agents that you meet with send you a CMA, a comparative market analysis. They should want to see the property prior to writing a CMA, otherwise it likely will not be accurate. Ask them to give you 2 listing price estimates. One, as is, no staging, no nothing. And then what it could be with strategic updates and investments made prior to sell. So if your home was in the top 10% of the sold comps in the area, adjusted for the changes in the market since the day sold. I like this because it gives you a loose range of what could be possible with pre-sale updates. Last but not least, complete the property assessment. Included on this webinar is complete our property assessment. This is the easiest way to get an idea of where you're at in your home selling journey. Complete the property assessment that's included here. Complete our included property assessment. It's very quick. Just a few questions that's going to give you an idea of where your house is at in terms of pre-sale potential. Last, complete our property assessment. Finally, complete our property assessment. It's just a few questions about your home that's going to give you a good idea of where it lands in terms of buyer expectations. And due to that, what might be some good next steps to consider for pre-sale. It'll also suggest some additional resources for you to consider, such as pre-packing, depersonalizing, courses, workshops where I help you to work through the pre-packing process, the depersonalizing process, even self-staging and getting photo ready. Now, I am a believer in stager. I've been a stager, and I would suggest, if you have the money, to just pay a professional stager to stage your home. It's the easiest, least amount of effort, and I still think it's one of the absolute best investments you can possibly make anywhere, any day. Staging ranges anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000 unless you have some huge home in a market like Los Angeles. Then, we're talking $10,000, $20,000 for staging. Again, it's still proportional and worth it because on average, if you spend $10,000 on staging, you should be getting about $6,000 more on your listing price. And I'd argue, honestly, probably more. So it's the easiest money you'll spend all day, but if you think you're almost there and you want to do it, we have resources to help you tackle your own home staging, self-staging, and styling. And we have photo-ready checklists to help you get it ready. And you can even book time with me if you want to do a video consultation and help give you the answers about where to start next. Thank you so much for your time watching this webinar. I'm so glad I get to share this information with you. I hope it has changed your perspective or validated something you already knew to be true, because all I want for every single homeowner is for them to make the most money from their home as possible. And I'd love to help you in any way I can. So please reach out, go to my website, email me, at me on social media. I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to help you. Have a great day.